Hello, in this video we continue to configure the system's logistic modules, namely the categories and characteristics of your goods and/or services. Categories are actually groups of items, services or operations, and characteristics are the different properties that describe those categories. Thus, when articles are placed in categories, they receive different features or characteristics already granted at the category level. Of course, setting features for categories is optional. The benefit of setting characteristics for categories is that you will get new, more detailed filters for the sales and purchase reports generated by the system, and you will see your stock in a more organized way. Keep in mind that the items you place in the categories they belong to will also receive their VAT rate, be it standard, reduced or no VAT, as well as the financial income or expense categories according to the settings that you will make on the category level. To better understand the relationship between categories and characteristics, I will use the example of an article I will call perfume XYZ, which is an eau de parfum concentration. I will show you a diagram so that you can see all the steps in a more simplified way, and then I will return to the software settings. So to enter this article in the system, I need to have a category called perfumes that will have a characteristic called concentration, to which I will assign the value of EDP. In this way, the system can create reports with information based on these characteristics, which means that in my case, I will be able to see how many perfumes with an EDP concentration I have bought or sold. To enter the perfume XYZ in the system, I must make the following settings, starting from the bottom. First, I need to create a nomenclature, meaning a list of values, in which I will add relevant values, including eau de parfum. Then I need to create the characteristic and set it up to use the nomenclature I just created. Then I create the category to which I allocate the characteristic. And only after that I will introduce my article into the system. Let's go back to the system so that I can show you all the interfaces of these steps. As I said, we need to start with the last tab, nomenclatures. In this interface, you will find some of the commonly used nomenclatures introduced by us. Of course, you can change them or delete them as you see fit. In the header, you have the button to add a new nomenclature. I have already added a nomenclature called concentration types. I've introduced the name in all the languages in which I work with the system. After you create your nomenclature, you must add elements to it, because otherwise it's just an empty list. To add elements, you have to press this green plus to the right. My elements are all the concentrations of perfumes that I am supposedly selling. I save this information with the confirmation button. Now it's time to create the category characteristic. In this case, I'll name it concentration and indicate which nomenclature it uses. As usual, the Add button is up in the header. Click on it and the following window will open up. Here I will complete the code. You can put any format you want. I will write an abbreviation with letters. I select the type of characteristic. In my case, it will be the nomenclature that I created earlier, and that will allow me to select a value from the list I preset. However, as you can see, there are many other types of characteristics if you would like to use something else. You can select text, number, date, checkbox, partner, which allows you to choose from the list of vendors or customers in your system, file, image, selectable picture, or package. Whatever attribute you think fits best with the items or services of your business. So I will select the type, which is nomenclature, and now I need to specify which nomenclature it will use. Then I have to enter the name in all the languages in which I work with the system. I can select mandatory characteristic entry, or I can leave it unchecked. Batch characteristic. By marking this checkbox, you indicate whether this feature will apply to items with control type called batch. All modifications are saved with the confirmation button. As you can see, I have the new characteristic, and the next step is to create the category of articles. In my case, I need to create a category of items called perfumes. I will go to that interface, press the Add button, and fill in the following fields. I've already created the category, and I'll just open it so that you can see the information I put in. Successor of. In this field, you can indicate whether this category is the successor of an existing category. In this case, it is not, so I didn't fill up anything here. But keep in mind that you can create an unlimited number of categories and subcategories. Then you have to enter the ID of your category. As usual, I put an abbreviation formed of 3 letters. Then position. This defines the sort order in the list. The smaller the number, the higher it will appear in the list. After that, you have to input the names in all the languages in which you work with the system. You have to select the revenue category for your group. Here you indicate in which financial category for revenue the items in this category will enter, and implicitly where all the financial documents generated with these items will be allocated. Similarly, expense category. Here you indicate with which category of expenses your items that enter this category will be reported, and implicitly where the financial documents related to expenses comprising these items will be allocated. Tax rate. Here you specify the tax rate of the category and implicitly of all the items entering this category. Characteristics. The characteristics of the articles that are entering this category. This is where you choose the characteristics from the ones you've already created. In my case, it is concentration. Characteristic value for category. If you are using nomenclature as type of characteristic, meaning you have a list of different values to select from, then here is the place where you can choose whether that characteristic will have specific values. For example, all the items entering this category will be EDP. Characteristic for batch. Here you can choose whether there will be any characteristic for a batch, if you have set any at all. All changes are saved with the confirmation button. Only now I am able to enter the item called perfume XYZ in the system the way I wanted it. Namely, in a category called perfumes, which I have given a characteristic called concentration, which is using a list of values called concentration types that includes eau de parfum. This was the information about categories and characteristics. Thank you for watching. Have a productive day.